Hey guys, so in this video I'm basically going to be trying to help you guys get your first win by analyzing one of my own games while giving tips on the way. So very first thing is that you're going to want to decide where you want to land, and where you land is going to basically be somewhere that isn't one of those super high populated places, such as Tilted Towers or one of the major cities like Retail Row in this case, that are very close to the beginning of the bus, because that's where a lot of people like to go. And the problem with dropping somewhere like this is that you play something that I like to call the RNG game, and that's basically when you drop into a house with one or more people, or maybe two even, but you're basically deciding who wins based on who gets a gun or whoever gets the better gun first, and that isn't really a good consistent way to win. So there are definitely ways to work around that, but you can completely avoid having to go through that process altogether by going somewhere that is farther from the bus. And in this case, I decided to choose Pleasant Park because Pleasant Park is a fair distance away, and there might be one or two people here, but it'll give me time to loot up. You could definitely go to somewhere that isn't going to be populated whatsoever, such as Lucky Landing, or somewhere that's like very far away from the bus, and you could just do that instead. But I mean, just go somewhere that isn't super populated. You can see that as I was dropping, I looked around and I saw that one person was here, and because he's close by, I'm going to try and get a gun first. Now the thing is, he got a chest, right? Let's just back up here a little bit. He got a chest, and the thing that comes with chests usually aren't shotguns. You can't get a pump or attack from a chest, and it is I'm not sure what the chances are, but it's unlikely for me at least to find heavy shotguns inside a chest, and because I have a shotgun, a close quarters fight is definitely in my favor. So I'm going to go after him as soon as possible. Now, I know he's on the other side of this wall, so as soon as I break it, I put up my own wall so that he can't attack me, and I'm just going to edit and go above him. And because we're super close, easy kill. So I'm going to continue looting this house here. Something that you should do when you're looting is to organize your inventory. If you don't already, you should have items be in the same slot. So if you tend to like a loadout such as a shotgun, a AR, and let's just say some meds, you should have them all in the same slot so that when you get into these high intense situations, you'll know what to press and you won't pull out the wrong weapon. You won't have to worry about accidentally pulling out your meds or accidentally pulling out the wrong weapon in the time of need. So materials are also really important. You should learn how to build. If you don't build at all, then you should definitely be practicing how to build, whether that be in 50-50 or in the playground mode, which is currently disabled. But you should definitely learn how to build, and you should definitely be keeping a check on your materials. Now, I don't have that many materials, and that's okay. There isn't really anyone here, but you're going to see that as I go on through different houses and I pass by trees, I'm going to be farming those a lot, because having materials is really important in a fight. And it sucks a lot when you run out of materials during a fight, because against someone that is any decent whatsoever, you're gonna have a tough time trying to compete with them if they have mats and you do not. So you're gonna see here, I'm just looting up. One thing I would like to mention is that having structure damaging weapons or explosives in this meta is very important, I would say. You can definitely win without it, but it's extremely helpful, and you're pretty much just putting yourself in a worse position if you choose not to take them. So what I would recommend is obviously taking something like C4. RPGs and grenade launchers are also pretty good. But if you decide not to take one of those, then you're going to at very least want a tactical SMG or a Tommy gun. And to put it on a very basic term, the weapons do very similar things, the Tommy gun and the tactical SMG. I know that they're different, but just for the sake of keeping things simple, we can say that they do very similar things. So when it comes to knowing which one to pick up, if you're at a spot where you're like, I wonder if I should pick up a Tommy gun or if I should pick up a tactical SMG, look at your primary weapon. So in my case, I have an assault rifle, right? Well, the tactical SMG uses light ammo, and the Tommy gun the drum gun, uses medium ammo. And so does my primary weapon. So if you happen to get into a fight with somebody and you are using, for example, a drum gun and an assault rifle, and you decide to try and do some damage to the structures as they're building up, for example, you're going to run out of ammo very, very fast, and you're not going to have anything to reload with for your assault rifle. So especially when you don't have a lot of ammo, it's good to separate these two pieces, these two sort of inventory slots of ammo, light ammo and your medium ammo. Again, this is if you have that choice. So I didn't really find a Tommy gun. I keep calling it a Tommy gun. I didn't find a drum gun or a tactical SMG, so my alternative, my substitute for now, is just the suppressed SMG, which is also very good. A lot of the time you'll find that I will take a suppressed SMG and a Tommy gun, or a AR and a tactical SMG, just so that I don't run into these problems of not having a lot of materials. So not much has happened. I took the rift. The rifts are super, super good. If you see them around and you need to get in the circle, you should definitely take it, because it makes you go super, super high in the air, and you can pull out your glider and travel a long distance. Something I would like to mention is that getting inside the white circle early is always beneficial. If you're not going to be in a bad position by moving into the circle, it's always a good idea to get in there early, as you can kill people that are moving into the circle very late. So that is something to keep in mind. I see this little 1x1 here, and you do not have to go for fights like this if you're not comfortable, but it's always good to brush up on your battling skills. So one thing I'm going to tell you is that I immediately go for the high ground, because the high ground is really, really important. And as soon as I break the structure, I don't see anyone inside. So I'm just going to farm this tree here really quick. And after that, I'm going to see that the person that might have been in the 1x1 is now visible. I'm going to keep my high ground. He decides to break down my structure, so again, I'm going to try and get above him, always keeping the high ground. One thing with this fight is I might be overexposing myself a little bit, but you can see that I'm timing my shots in tandem with his. So he's going to shoot, and then I'm going to shoot after. But when he shoots, I decide to go into cover, because you can't double shotgun anymore in this meta since they nerfed it. So every time he shoots, I'm going to hide, and then I will pop out and deal a quick burst of damage, and then hide again so that I don't take any damage in return. So especially, one thing that I would like to say is that going for kills is not anything, it doesn't provide anything for you other than the other person's inventory. So if you have a very good inventory, let's say you have a SCAR, for example, a heavy shotgun, maybe a tactical SMG, and some meds, and maybe you have a jump pad or bouncers or something like that, you don't have to fight. In fact, even if you don't have an inventory loadout such as that, you really don't need to fight. You can continue looting if you want to, but fighting definitely helps you when you don't have a very good loadout. Not necessarily in terms of materials, but just in utility. So if you're looking for explosives, if you're looking for ammo, if you're looking for jump pads or bouncers, then going for kills is not a bad idea. But just know that kills are not mandatory in order to win, nor do they don't really make any difference to the result of the game. Whether you win with 1 kill or whether you win with 12 kills, it doesn't really matter. Yes, it does change the game when you kill somebody because you get their inventory, but just the kills by themselves do not mean anything. You can kill a bunch of people with no loot and get 15 kills, but it doesn't make a difference if the kills don't actually help you out in any sort of way, if that makes any sense. So you can see here, I see a person in the distance. I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Again, you don't typically have to go for kills like this. If anything, I might advise someone who isn't comfortable with fighting to go ahead and take the rift, just because this fight is completely unnecessary. My recording software did lag there a little bit, and I don't know why, really. But I decided not to build up to him because it looked like he was distracted by the little 1x1, and he was holding out a smoke grenade, and he was just standing still. So it was very easy for me to shoot him down. He didn't know where I was, and he was completely distracted, standing still. So that was a very, very easy kill. So again, with the rifts, you're going to see me take this one here. It is okay. It isn't as bad to be outside the circle with a rift nearby, and this is just because they help you travel so quickly. The amount of distance you can cover by taking a rift is a lot. So by not being in the circle, it's not as bad if you have one nearby, but just know that if someone is camping you, you're still going to run into that bad situation. So again, this person doesn't know where I am and doesn't seem to be building up. As soon as they start building up for high ground, that's what I'm going to be going for. And I could probably make a video about fighting in another video. I'm not going to cover it too much here, otherwise the video will be extremely long, but the basis is that I got the high ground on him and I kept it, and I decided to punish him when he was exposed and when I had an opportunity to just damage him while he was doing something else. That's the gist of it. So one thing that you can do is that after a battle you can build a floor if you can't find anywhere proper to build your pyramid, and then build a pyramid on top of it, and this will give you cover from all angles while being efficient with your resources. You could build a 1x1 with 4 walls, a floor, and a roof, but then that uses 50 to 60 materials, and doing it this way only costs 20. These big-headed guys also give you a lot of materials. You can see that I got 100 brick from just breaking one of those big heads, and as the circle's coming, I'm just going to hop in the rift here. As soon as you hop on the top, as soon as you get out of the rift, you're going to want to pull out your glider, and you're not going to really want to skydive. And while you're in here, you could just look around, see if there's any enemies anywhere, and this will just help you know where people are and be able to just be aware of your surroundings. So if you know that someone's behind you, then you know where one enemy is out of how many ever there are close to you or in the match. It's just good to know where people are. So again, the basis of this is that I'm going to have the high ground. You can see that I'm not going to shoot the people that are close to me, right under me, because I know this guy is sniping, so I don't want him to snipe me as I'm looking down on the guys below, because I'm going to have to expose myself a little bit more in order to shoot them. So I'm going to focus on the guy that's farther away first while keeping high ground on both of these guys. And you can see that I now have a suppressed SMG. Like I said earlier, having a suppressed SMG and Tommy gun is definitely good in order to separate the two different pieces of ammo. And so even though that the suppressed SMG does not do anywhere near as much damage as an AR per bullet, it still has a very good DPS and is very, very accurate. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping the high ground in this battle. I hear him jump pad away, and I hear the other guy decide to jump pad away as well. He's going to jump pad away here in a second. And one thing, if you wanted to take away something from that fight, is that I maintained the high ground, and I did know that there was a sniper behind me, so I covered up before engaging so that I didn't get sniped. After we decide to drop here, this guy's going to push me. Same concept, trying to get the high ground, make sure I maintain it while I'm fighting. I'm going to block off the other guy so that he doesn't shoot me. You can see that every time I build up and want to punish him for a long period of time, I'm going to block him off. If I'm only out there for a very, very short amount of time, it's still good to block off, but it isn't exactly necessary. Because I kept the high ground and he was exposed while building and he couldn't shoot me back, I got the punish on him with the pump shotgun. So if you look at the top right, you're going to see that I am not in the circle. So I'm thinking to myself, what do I want to do? What can I do? Again, blocking the other guy off as I decide to just poke somebody. And I do have a jump pad, so I know that I will have time to get in the circle, but I need to figure out where to go. And I decide to go on the high ground over here. And the difference with this high ground in comparison to other ones is that this is natural high ground. And what I mean by natural high ground is that the environment is what's giving me the elevation, and you can't destroy the environment. Yes, of course you can destroy trees and you can destroy like rocks and stuff like that, but you can't destroy like the map, the land itself. So having the natural high ground is good because the enemy won't be able to knock you off. So now that I'm in the circle, I know that he is very, very close to the edge of the circle, and that's completely okay. But now I have a bit of an advantage. For example, if he decides to blow up my structure, that is completely okay. I'll still have high ground. If I build 3 stories up and he knocks it down, that's still okay. I still have a very good amount of high ground, and that's the power of natural high ground. Someone could build up to high ground with their own buildings, but then they will fall from a greater distance and they will take damage. So that's the power of natural high ground. So I know that there are other people around me, and in the event that I want to harass this guy, I really didn't need to build the extra walls there until later. But just in the event that I wanted to fight him, I'm going to block myself off from other directions so that I don't manage to get sniped or anything from other people. So I'm just going to chill here for a little bit. I don't have to do anything. I could be aggressive and go for more kills, but I don't really have to do anything. I'm in the circle. I have a good amount of materials. I have meds. I'm good to go. I just want to make sure that I don't use too many materials here. So I'm just going to chill for the next little while and see where the circle develops. So now you see that the circle has landed on me. And what does that mean? It means that the other guy is going to be forced, this guy west of me is going to be forced to come to me. So I have the advantage in this case. If he waits too long, so if he waits the whole 2 minutes, he's going to be forced to come to me, and he's going to have to make a decision. Do I take circle damage, or do I come out of the circle pushing towards this guy? And you can see that he's pushing early, which is really good. And as he's moving, I am going to poke him when he isn't looking at me, because it could be very dangerous if you get sniped by someone like this, and it could just mean a very unnecessary death. So whenever he looks to snipe me, I'm just not going to peek him at all. Sniping at longer distance is all about prediction, so he needs to predict when I'm going to peek. And if I just don't peek at all, he's going to end up shooting, and I will easily dodge his sniper bullet. So again, I have high ground. Whenever he decides to make a decision, you can see that I decide to move out and deal some damage to him. I have walls all around me, so if anyone wants to punish me, it's going to have to be someone that was where I was earlier, and they're either going to have to come close to me or snipe me from a longer distance. Pull out my Tommy gun, that being my weapon destruction weapon, and I am just going to do my best to punish him as he decides to climb up. Just like that, it's an easy kill. I have high ground, and I hear someone behind me. So I am going to, again, build up for high ground. This tree is a little bit in the way, so I have to be a little bit more creative and build around it. And after building around it, you're going to see that I'm going to knock the tree down so I can have some vision of him. And I have to be careful of this person southeast of me, because I could easily get sniped by him. He is a little bit distracted, it seems, but I should definitely be building for cover. You can see that I'm exposing myself like this, which is not good, and I could easily get sniped by the guy southeast of me right now. So just like earlier before, I'm just keeping high ground. When he exposes himself, I'm going to deal some damage. I'm going to pull my weapon, destruct my structure damaging weapon, and just pressure him a little bit. You can see that I'm starting to get sniped from over there, and I'm going to be a little bit more cautious now. You can see that I'm going to try and be a little bit more creative and try to attack him while isolating line of sight from the other guy. So I'm trying to take on one person at a time instead of having to juggle them both at the same time, which is why you can see that I'm under my stair here. I hear him being a little bit distracted in the southeast, so this gives me an opportunity to 1v1 this guy a little bit longer. I'm not as scared anymore of the other guy southeast because I heard him shooting and he's distracted. You know, take out this guy, keeping the high ground, shooting him when he's being distracted doing something else, whether that's building. But if he's not aiming at me, that's a good time for me to shoot him. So I know I'm not in the circle. I'm going to go and collect my loot here, try and get a bit more materials. You can see that I'm starting to get a little bit low on wood, so I'm just going to collect the materials from both of these guys here. Get some bouncers, just get their loot. There's no danger in doing so. You can see that the hill blocks off line of sight from the other guy southeast, so I'm just going to go grab the loot. There's only 4 people left, and I know that there's one there. I see somebody building over there, so I'm just going to block it off real quick and make sure that I stay safe, and I'm going to go back up on the hill. So one problem I had here is that I thought that the hill for some reason was in the circle, and you're going to see that I'm just wasting materials here coming back up because there's no real need for me to do so. And I only noticed this later on as I'm going up the structure here, that I am not actually in the circle. So I'm like, oh, like, this was pointless. All this building here was completely pointless because I'm not in the circle. I'm going to move as soon as possible when it's a safe opportunity to do so and get in the circle so that I'm not going to be in that scenario where I'm forced to move and end up making a bad decision. And one thing you can do is you can put a roof over your structure, and you're going to see here that I decide to edit it, and you can see that I can see outside of the pyramid. And before, what people would do is they would use a wall and just edit it and look outside, but now you can use a roof instead. So if you thought that, you know, editing or edit peeking is dead, you can still do it with roofs, and there's a special way to do it with a wall and a ramp, but in this case I'm just going to be using a roof. So I see this guy is coming down, and I build a little window here to try and pressure him a little bit. Again, this is so that I'm only shooting one person at a time, and the other person that is within the short amount of distance of me cannot shoot me back. If he wants to shoot me, he needs to shoot my wall. And so I have protection in that manner. So I'm still waiting for an opportunity. I'm going to be edit peeking with my roof here and just seeing what these guys are up to. And right now you can see that the circle is moving towards the south. So I'm going to try my best not to wait until the very end of the timer. I'm going to give myself time in order to move to the circle, but I have a little bit of time, so I'm just trying to think of what I can do. So I see that the guy, one of the guys from I believe it's the east, decided to jump pad over. And so what that means is I can go and push them. So they're going to be busy fighting each other, and they're not going to be wanting to attack me. And so that's a very easy time for me to go and finish this game off. So I'm just waiting for them to really start fighting. I don't want to fully commit yet because they're not quite distracted from each other yet. The other guy is still up top. And when they're fighting, when they're not looking at me, I'm going to go and decide to clean up. When I get into a fight with this last guy here, you're going to see again, I'm going to go for the high ground immediately. I screw up my building a little bit, but that's okay. He's hiding behind his structures, so I'm going to pull out my structure weapon here, that being my drum gun. And I was going to start damaging his structure if he was going to hide behind it, but he exposes himself a couple times, so I use my shotgun just to punish him a little bit, and he jumps outside the circle for the last kill. So the whole gist of this game was to make smart decisions, get in the circle as soon as possible if you can, and during your fights you really want to maintain that high ground. High ground is very, very important and is something that I really harped on during this game, and a lot of my kills were because I kept high ground on people and I punished them when they were exposed. I didn't really try to take any of these 50-50 fights where you're both shotgunning each other. I always built up to high ground and I waited for them to make a mistake. If they're hiding behind structures, you know, you take out your TAC SMG or your drum gun if you have it and you pelt them with it and pressure them that way. One other thing that is very important is that if you have multiple people shooting you, if you get the high ground, if you want to punish the person that you're having the build battle with, it's very important that you block the other person off via building. So you're going to want to build a couple of walls, maybe like 2 or 4 walls, blocking the other person's line of sight of you so that you don't get sniped as you're having a build battle with the other guy. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm thinking on making a couple smaller videos on each topic, so that, or on multiple topics, not just these topics necessarily, but this sort of touches on a couple different things that might be helpful for you guys. So hopefully this was helpful. If there's anything specific that you guys want me to talk about, whether it be loadouts or, you know, build battling and stuff like that, I can explain those in their own separate videos. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have like this big long video with just like a bunch of different topics, and I think it's easier if each video just has its own topic itself. So hopefully this was helpful, and yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.